江戸、店内に飛び込むぞ。いいか。よし。せーの。それ。
In the year 2010, mankind launches Beyond Coast, the first fully functional space colony. 3 years later, 5 of Earth's finest police officers from around the world are chosen to maintain law and order among the first generation of immigrants to Beyond Coast. The chosen men were Gates Becker from Scotland Yard, Joseph Sadooki Tokugawa from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, Salvatore Toscanini from the New York Police Department, and finally Ed Brown and Jonathan Ingram from the Los Angeles Police Department. As astronauts with police authority, they become known as the Policenauts. During a spacewalk test of a new suit, an accident occurs, and Jonathan is shot into space and presumed dead. Luckily, he is able to survive in the suit's cold sleep module and is recovered 25 years later. Now the year is 2040, and as a 55-year-old man in a 30-year-old body, Jonathan now makes a living as a hostage negotiator / private investigator in old Los Angeles. One day, Jonathan's ex-wife Lorraine shows up, beckoning him to investigate the disappearance of her husband. Jonathan is initially reluctant to take the case, but when Lorraine gets murdered, he sets off to Beyond Coast to seek the help of his old partner Ed Brown. Jonathan finds Ed at Beyond Coast Police, where he's stuck behind a desk in Vice, just 3 years from retirement and getting way too old for this shit. Together with the help of Ed's colleagues Dave Forrest and Meryl Silverberg, yes, it's that Meryl Silverberg, they set out to find Lorraine's killer and unravel the mystery behind her husband's disappearance. So yeah, if you haven't guessed it already, this is Hideo Kojima's Lethal Weapon in Space.
デイブはビヨンド生まれ、ビヨンド育ちのビヨンズだ。
よろしくジョナサン。テレストリアルは大歓迎だよ。ホームはいいものな。僕もホームの移住願いを申請中なんだ。
よろしく。
Labeled as interactive cinema, this is a pretty straightforward point-and-click adventure with a bit of gun action thrown in the mix. A lot like Snatcher before it, it constantly nudges you in the right direction by offering you tips here and there, preventing you from running in circles like you normally would in other adventure games from the 90s. I think the only real challenge is found in the gun battles. But even if you do die in those sections, you just get thrown back to the beginning of the fight rather than all the way back to the last save.
早く行け。くそ、どこに隠れた。
Speaking of the gun sections, I strongly recommend playing this game with a mouse, as aiming quickly and navigating in general is much easier than it is playing with a controller. What we're looking at here is the PlayStation version, which received a fan translation in 2009, so thanks a lot to Mark Laidlaw, Artemio Urbina and Michael Sawyer for making that happen. As of this recording, there's also a fan translation happening for the Sega Saturn version, which has a bunch of extra cutscenes and light gun support, but there's no ETA on when it's done. In the typical Kojima fashion, this game has a ton of extra details and facts about space. Take for instance this scene aboard the Spaceline flight, where they've designed small air vents on the headrests of the seats. This is because sleeping in weightlessness causes carbon dioxide to gather around your head, making it difficult to breathe, and the airflow from the vents help to alleviate that. That someone went into all this detail and consideration about life in space is really impressive, and not even something you really see a lot in modern games. Another fun detail is that you can touch the boobs of every lady you meet. You can touch the boobs of the stewardess, you can touch the boobs of a receptionist, you can touch the boobs of a certain news reporter, you can touch the boobs of a hospital director, you can touch the boobs of your partner's daughter. You can even touch Meryl Silverberg's boobs, but only if you beat her high score in the shooting range. Even if this game had come out in English in 1996, I'm pretty sure this stuff would have been censored for the West. But can you just imagine the shitstorm if it had come out today? Man, the internet fun police would be all over it. It is the dumbest thing and it doesn't really serve any purpose for the gameplay, but it's not surprising that it's in there considering that the game originated on the NEC PC-98. If you don't know that computer, it's a Japanese computer that was pretty much the equivalent of the PlayStation Vita back in the day, except maybe the games on the PC-98 often went a little bit further than just touching boobs. Overall, I do like Hideo Kojima's Lethal Weapon in space. Not as much as I did Hideo Kojima's Terminators and Body Snatchers in the future, which might be because Policenauts doesn't have quite as many big unforeseen twists as Snatcher did. The twists are certainly there, but as I played the game, there were several times where I found myself realizing them way before the game's characters did. Still, this doesn't detract from the fact that it is an interesting, well-produced story that is well worth experiencing, and as I mentioned earlier, the fan translation of the PlayStation version is out there, so do check it out.